What is mountaintop removal? The coal mining process contains two processes, above and below ground. What is coal? There are four types of coal: peat, lignite, bituminous, and anthracite. Higher pressure and heat means a higher quality of coal. Surface mining is the type of mining that occurs when the topsoil is blasted off by explosives or drilled down to the layers of fragmented rock. Molten (MTVF) is when the coal is exposed through explosives and mountaintops are removed. How are these processes regulated and by who? Mine Safety and Health Administration (MSHA) and the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) are the two processes that regulate the coal mining industry. The MSHA focuses on the safety and health of workers, the miners, while the EPA is responsible for the environmental impact of coal mining operations.
Effects of mountaintop removal and MTVF. How are aquatic ecosystems affected by mining and MTVF? Through erosion, contamination, contaminating surface waters, and aquifers with toxic chemicals such as mercury, lead, and arsenic. It can also smother habitats and disrupt feeding and breeding patterns. Which aspects of the ecosystem are affected? Invertebrates are more prone to particulate pollutants, which can have negative effects on the health of species. It can also affect fish and aquatic resources through erosion and sedimentation. So why are these particular organisms affected? As mentioned above, mining can lead to the release of heavy metals and other pollutants into the bodies of water. Contaminants can gather fish tissue, which can have toxic effects that can damage their behavior and physiology. Mining can lead to habitat degradation, which can affect feeding areas for fish and can harm them through the poor water quality.
Some of the local environmental impacts of mountaintop removal and MTBF include a destruction of streams, converting what once was a stream into like a sediment pond that sits in a valley fill, and these are basically just used to dispose of old rock minerals after coal mining. Another effect would be these streams that were once filled with healthy ecosystems are now gone due to the displacement of water and vegetation. Another effect would be a loss of soil. Some of these mining operations try to save the soil, but still a significant amount is lost, which impacts vegetation. This vegetation is severely impacted due to the displaced water flow, causing plants and living organisms to not be able to survive in this area. Impacts on watersheds, which is a common area of rainfall and runoff. With mining, these areas are being destroyed and changed, causing a change in the direction of water, leading to a multitude of different things like floods and an impact on ecosystems surrounding these mountains. As shown in this before and after mountaintop removal, you can kind of see on our left the streams that were still in the mountain before, and in the after, there is absolutely no streams left and hardly any vegetation.
The changes at the watershed scale influences the stream hydrology. Sulfate will be exposed along with other chemicals. The sulfur gives the salt marshes their odor and their characteristics. The exposure will occur during coal mining and increase also during coal mining. Freshwater systems are impacted by the emissions of the sulfate. The natural acid can lead to increase in the pH levels in the streams due to the coal mining. Electrical conductivity is increased due to carbonate and cations. In mined streams, conductivity levels were higher than those of non-mined streams. High conductivity levels are toxic to aquatic organisms and causes their osmoregulation to be disrupted. Other impacts are that the forests that are destroyed will no longer store carbon, and the burning of the coal causes carbon to be released into the atmosphere, which causes more pollution. And in this picture, it shows how a mountaintop was mined and how all of the coal and sediments go down the valley into the pond that eventually lead to the river that cause harm to the aquatic organisms.
The figure shown on this slide shows the number of at-risk species by watershed. The key in the lower left-hand side describes the colors used to represent the number of at-risk species. Light blue being 1, all the way up to red being 24 to 50 species at risk. A high amount of biodiversity is located in the southern and central Appalachians. The Appalachian Mountain region includes major rivers like the Potomac, Susquehanna, and the Ohio rivers. As shown in the graph, the Appalachian Mountain region has a high density of red, orange, and yellow color, meaning the species within the Appalachians are at high risk.
What is being done to mitigate the local and longitudinal impacts? Longitudinal, improve functionality of mitigation, assessments that go beyond just the appearance of a stream. Stronger enforcements, fines and penalties adjusted based on company profits. Passive and active water treatment. This includes pollutants like alkaline mine drainage to be filtered out before it enters streams. Local, alterations and restorations. Stream restoration should aim to mimic the natural stream pre-mining. Transparency and recording. Requires mining companies to build transparency and accountability with local stakeholders. Native tree planting, pollinator-friendly vegetation. Incorporating plant species that support pollinators like bees and butterflies. Are there limitations to these mitigations? Failure to address ecosystem function, stream creation versus stream restoration, structure and function are not always equivalent. What could be done to improve the current deficiencies in reclamation and mitigation? This obviously requires a multi-solution approach to tackle this large issue. Restoration of biodiversity, particularly for species that have been displaced by mining activities. This includes wetlands, grasslands, forests to promote biodiversity. Resilience of the environment from the climate. This includes planting drought-resistant species. Monitoring remotely. An example of this is drones, which are cost-effective and a non-invasive way to track large-scale reclamation efforts over time.
In conclusion, mountaintop removal is a way to extract huge amounts of coal. Molted MTVF is when the coal is exposed through explosions and mountaintops are removed. Mountaintop removal is detrimental to the environment and affects aquatic ecosystems severely. During coal mining, sulfur and other chemicals enter water systems. This creates a higher level of pH in the water and increases electric conductivity, all of which are toxic to aquatic organisms. Mediation efforts are not effective and have not been successful in decreasing the impact of mountaintop removal. Efforts to reestablish vegetation and plant species has been ineffective in areas of mined watersheds. Restoring biodiversity and monitoring the environment closely can improve deficiency in mediation efforts.